Hi, Comicsgate. I don't know why that's so difficult for some people. To me, it's the easiest thing in the world. Can you guys hear me? How's my audio? I got a little echo, but I think I got it cleared away. How am I coming through, guys? You hear me? Mic check. 1 2 1 2. Coming in hot. Coming in clear. Excellent. So, yeah, Amanda sounds good, but I am coming in bright. That's right. So good to be back with you guys. It has been a long road. 7, thank you. On the inside, I feel phenomenal. I feel 150,000% better than before I was sick. Um, but the thing is, with COVID, it absolutely, especially with the uh, the severity I had, it just ravages your body. So what happens is that even after it's gone, oh, thank you for the compliments on the hair. Yeah, that was one of the interesting side effects of my miraculous comeback. My hair is just silky smooth and it grows quickly. So yeah, I am going to get a haircut, but I figured that could wait. The family reunion's more important. So this is just a very informal kind of testing out of if I know I'm good to go, but I need to kind of check my energy level and see how I got to ease back into doing like the party shows and stuff because I'm working with I'm probably about 15% physical capacity from before when I was sick, but that's coming back from 1%, which is what my doctors and nurses said I was at my worst. So, I from what my main doc said is that basically when he thought I was back from 1% to 5% of my former capacity, that's when they cut me loose from the hospital. And the progress was so fast and so clear from all their diagnostic testing that they were shocked because the severity that I had, it was basically if you they classify COVID into kind of like these bands. So like the top band is least severe, and that's no symptoms, and they don't know if you're transmitting or not. And then it goes down from there. And I was down at the bottom band, which is basically um, like the worst category, and the categories are really broad because it's basically everybody's got a different case, everybody's unique, but there are groupings of the worst and then going up all the way up to the least severe. And so basically I was at the worst, I was down at the bottom, and then multiply that by double pneumonia. So both my lungs were just filled with sludge. And getting a little warm in here. I hope you guys don't mind if I just loosen up the old the tracksuit. Yeah, some people um, have heard that I had a near death experience, and it's true. It was crazy. I mean, I saw the light, and then, well, I'll give you the details later. But let's just say that, metaphorically speaking, and then I met Barnaby, and that is quite a story. But as far as the physical recovery part of it, uh, they cut me loose from the hospital when I was about 5% capacity, and I'd made such a huge leap because I was so far gone that they basically said that the progress I made in a week, they hope that any of those patients do that in like 3 to 6 months. And sadly, there are patients that are on that floor that they get sent either to the ICU, from what they told me, where they lay their face down, intubated, tubes going into their lungs from anywhere from 3 months to, I mean, some of those patients in there have been in there 9 months, and they're just kind of there. And so one of the cool things that with my case was that they were just shocked that anybody had recovered at all. And then to boot, the recovery was so quick, it just basically defied all their expectations. So as we go on and people want to hear more, I'll be happy to answer any questions at all. I'm actually going to scroll through the chat here in a minute and greet all you guys individually and see if there's any questions. And Bo Biggs in the house. Good to see you, buddy. So here in a minute, I'll just kind of finish giving you the summary of how things are going at home. Short answer, fantastic, but with conditions. And that has to do with the physical recovery process from the destruction that COVID does to your body. Thank you, Don. You're looking good yourself, my friend. So when it comes to my lung capacity, I know that's something that a lot of people are really worried about if they have COVID or they have loved ones with COVID. And one of the things that, even though I never wanted to go through the whole experience, I have to say that one of the things that has been phenomenal is because I basically was told I had the worst case that they had seen, and that's why I was in that category that I was mentioning earlier about this is kind of like a band of, you put all these patients in here and they kind of comprise the worst of the worst. And then when you compound that with double pneumonia, that's how I ended up on what they call the DOU, which is direct observation unit. And it's more or less, they're the patients that could at any moment either keep breathing or they could go into cardiac arrest because their oxygen has dropped so low that it can't keep the heart pumping. And then obviously the lungs go down, the heart goes down, and then it's just game over. So Bancroft just saw the helmet. I told you, Mike. I told you I was coming up with a little something special. I'll get into the helmet later on, but for now, I'm going to sip some water. I'm going to mute so I can expel some phlegm. My lungs are clean as a whistle. The home health nurse said there's zero pneumonia in there. But one thing COVID does is it a lot of times with patients, it'll go to work on their throat. And there's something, I'm not sure exactly what. I think it comes from the lymph nodes personally, but there's so little information on it. I don't want to give out anything as being like medical fact or anything like that. This is just my case, my symptoms that I can tell you I'm experiencing. So basically what happens is if you get the pneumonia part, which I had in both lungs, that's what fills up your lungs with sludge. But then this other stuff just keeps coming into your or to my, I should say, into my throat, and I gotta just keep getting rid of it. It's all good. It's all good stuff. Not good stuff, Comics Gator, but it's good stuff for me. As long as I keep coughing that stuff out, it just dissipates over time. The cough, it dissipates over time. What else? There's a couple of things. If you have loved ones that have COVID or recovering from it, when you have what do you call it? Oxygen deprivation long enough, or if it drops long enough, the crazy thing is you don't really understand that your mental acuity is being reduced. And I'm gonna have to take off the jacket. There's just so much love in this room. It's just heating the place up. I gotta get some air on these thunder guns here. I don't want to overheat and start a fire. Billy Joel might not have started a fire. I definitely don't want to start one. Let's put this. But yeah, if anybody recognizes the tiger tracksuit, after I met Barnaby, I was inspired to put together a little tribute ensemble to Shane and Yanzi, because when you see what they went through to get that comic made, whew, those alien space rats, they are no joke. So Yeah, it's funny. I was trying to order this golden tiger gold lame striped tracksuit a while ago, and there was one left, and I had to go do something, and I come back and I try and order it, and it says it's gone, and then they're out of inventory, and then a couple days later they're back in stock, so I order it again, and this time it goes through. I kid you not, guys. About a week later, Shane shows up on his channel with that same tracksuit. It's tigers all over the place, and it's got this gold stripe down it, and a gold a gold zipper. Let me hold this thing up. So there's the stripe across the shoulder, and then it's got these gold tigers that look like, I don't know, they're trying to lick their balls or something. I don't know what they're doing, but they look tough, right? They look cool. So then I thought about, well, if Shane's got it first, I don't want him to think I'm like stealing his thunder. I got my own thunder. But then I met Barnaby, and we had a chat, and I said, you know what? I'm going to put together a tribute ensemble for Shane. I did it for Cecil. I've got the Ghost of Cecil Past. I've got Albino Cecil. Those are tribute ensembles. Why not do one for Shane and Yanzi? So, excuse the glugging. I got to keep pouring water into my face at all times. Keeps me hydrated, and it keeps the junk thinned out so I can just keep getting rid of it faster. So, hey, let's go through the chat. I don't want to get too far behind. I just want to say real quick, machine gun style. I really appreciate all you guys. I'm very happy that you showed up. I'm very happy to be here. So let's just go through real quick. I borrow ideas. So good to see you. Looks like StreamYard is lagging. So let's go all the way back if we can. Top chat, live chat. Let's go. What about good stuff? Good stuff. Thank you very much for your time and effort with that little treat. We're definitely going to put it to good use and spread some good vibes. Some things happen on my end where it was all, I mean, it's all really, it's good. The family stuff got a little crazy, but it was good. We had family visiting. Kids are wilding out, which basically means they're pretty comfortable with everything that's going on, and they know dad's getting better every single day. He's not going anywhere. And so they're kind of getting out all the extra energy and wiggles and everything they've been sitting on for a long time. So they've been going a little wild and out last couple days, but it's all good. Visits from family are always good. So good stuff. I had to switch things up a little bit and decided to just hold on to that little treat that you're working on. But we're definitely bringing it out for CG because well, quite frankly, it's just too cool not to. Frog G, B Rose, Red Boar, Mo, SDA, Don Chin, Lord Crackhead 33, Comic Book Black Belt, Mr. Russ Leach, inking the outliers as we speak. Russ, if you feel like it and you want to do a little update, go ahead and tell the good people how many pages are you into inking on chapter 2? Because after maybe in a couple of weeks, we're going to start doing some real updates, and we're going to do some nice little multimedia updates as well. So it's all fun. It's all fun from here on out. So let's continue with the hellos. What about Mr. Von Stugel, SDA, Melanie B? So good to see you, my sister. What a phenomenal job fulfilling that campaign. It's too cool. I love family businesses. Grew up in a family business and had them all around the extended family. Steve Worster, Ryan Cardinal, Birdman, good to see you, buddy. Steve, I know what you've been up to, and I am very, very happy about it. Keep rocking that. It's very fun. Jeremy Burtz, what about Snuggy Jr., David Feed, Mortal V, Jeremy Burtz? Thank you guys so much, every one of you, for joining me today. I don't want to miss anybody. I'm almost through. What do we got? There's the glugging. Okay. Oh, it just wow. YouTube jumped. Hey, did is it just me or did Twitter get really squirrely the last couple months over like autocorrect and what is it? Autocorrect and something else. Like, I've had the worst time trying to tweet anybody. And then YouTube has been a little squirrely for me too, but I didn't know if it was from just the oxygen deprivation, if I just wasn't perceiving it accurately, because it lasts for a while before you start getting your lucidity back to where you thought it was. And even then, there's still stuff like periodically I'll try and say something and I'll just lose a word. And I basically got to the point where I just said, okay, I give myself like 2 seconds. If I don't find it, I just move on. And I'm told that's extremely common when you're recovering from COVID. And then the other thing is sometimes it's like two words try to compete to get through a neural pathway, and they're just sitting there fighting. And it's like, you know what? Just one of you go through, the other one get out of here. So it's stuff like that where they tell me you just have to wait it out. Same thing with the memory loss. People periodically, like some people will have complete memory loss for a block of time, and others it's just a little bit here, a bit there. And so I had memory loss from when they triaged me and got me into the hospital in kind of a holding area in the emergency room. I remember all that stuff crystal clear. I have little gaps of the car ride to the hospital. My wife was driving me, and I remember little bits and pieces of that, but not most of it. And then there's a big gap between how I got from the ER up to my room, which was the observation unit. It's like one level of care above ICU, where that's like they're watching for, death, unfortunately. The one I was on, they're watching you for going into cardiac arrest, heart failure at any moment. So I was on a really quote unquote bad floor. It's a high level of care. But then there's others above that. So you have to kind of get in there, get triage, and then they determine where in the hospital you go based on how severe they think you are. So that's how I ended up in the kind of the grim hospital unit, if you will. So let's get back to happy stuff. So Russ is 13 pages into chapter 2 on the Outliers, volume 1. So that means we've got 24 pages of chapter 1, fully inked, penciled and inked. And then in chapter 2, fully penciled, 24 pages. And then he's 13 pages in on ink. So great progress, Russ. What I've seen looks phenomenal. I think you guys are going to dig it. I know I certainly do. Crazy Mad, welcome. Good to see you. D Wags, good to see you, buddy. Missed you guys. I love all my crack packers. I might have a little treat for you crack pack guys if you remind me. I think I'm good for a total of 2 hours. That's about how I've been going. I've been very carefully working my way up to how long I can talk. Like I said, my lung capacity, even though my lungs are totally clean, they're very weak. The whole body is weak. And so what happened was my condition crashed so hard that the docs told me I got down to about 1% of my physical capacity. And then working your way back from that, you have to work everything. So you have to work up your lung capacity, your energy level. Unfortunately, if you get COVID as bad as I did, although this does happen to people with less severe cases, and I don't know why, and neither do the doctors and nurses, it basically atrophies your muscles much faster than you would expect from being in the hospital laying in bed. So if you're bedridden for a week, and that's how I was in there for a week, and then I was out. They expected me to be in there for months, probably 3. That's kind of their ballpark estimate when you've got it as bad as I did. But they did say it could be longer. And then later I found out it could be 6 months. And then I found out there's people that's in there in 9 months. So it's there's so much random stuff or stuff that appears random to them because their admin departments are as overrun as the emergency rooms and the hospitals with all of these patients. So a lot of it is a guessing game, unfortunately. But I have been able to ease back into work, taking it real slow, having great meetings and doing face-to-face conversations so people can see how I am. It's really important that people be able to understand that when I was sending out some crazy DMs and a few crazy tweets publicly, that I didn't understand that all of the oxygen deprivation, it it affects you in the moment, but then the effects last for a while. And the worse you have it, the longer you have it, then the longer it takes to recover. So um, I just wanted people to see behind the scenes first that, I'm cool for school. And then when I go, live tonight, I wanted to make sure that people understood that everything's good. I mean, everything's better than good. I've been living life on easy mode ever since I got out of the hospital. What I mean by that is stuff doesn't bother me like it used to. I'm happy to say, just got total calm. Um, it's almost like I have flashbacks of how I would have gotten irritated at something, and then when I feel that coming on, I recognize it, and then I can just bring it right back down. So I'm basically living in chill mode and have been ever since I got home, and it's really been a question of just kind of getting back into the normal rhythms of life, and I'm really happy to say that the family is adjusting really quickly. It's all it's still kind of difficult because my capacity is so limited, but it's increased so fast. Like when I got home, I was at maybe 5% of what I used to be, and now after what's it been, almost 2 weeks. Yeah, Sunday will be 2 weeks I'll have been home, and now things are feeling a lot more like back to the normal rhythms of life. The one thing that's different is that I have to like basically do physical therapy and lung therapy. But it feels good. I mean, the stuff that I do, it's workouts that are uncomfortable in the sense that they make me push, but it's totally safe. And um, Rob asked, "How's my wife? Was she scared?" Yeah, so she definitely was, but thankfully, I could not have had a better nurse at home because my wife works in the medical profession, and I try not to say too much in detail about the family just because of the proverbial 12 psychos on Twitter and what they've done to uh, people like Ethan Van Sciver and Richard Meyer and others as well. I just, for security reasons, let's say, there's certain details I don't give out. But I will say, yeah, Snuggie, I'm going to come through and try and answer everyone's questions. I don't mind any questions at all. I'm a totally open book. I'm totally transparent. If there's anything that I'm not comfortable saying, I'll let you know. But to me, there's no dumb questions, no bad questions. It's all on the table. So ask away for yourself, for your loved ones, anything to do with COVID, anything to do with anything else. Outliers, CG, it's totally open forum tonight. So, yeah, Rob, your question. So she's been in the medical field for a very long time, and she's basically a world class nurse as far as her qualifications and her work experience goes. But then she's also done more in addition to that. She's managed entire floors of hospitals for years, multiple floors, multiple years each floor. And then she's also in quite a bit of like cross disciplinary task force type things where something has to get done at the hospitals in our area. We're in Southern California, San Diego County, and so she's very familiar with patient care at pretty much every level, from uh, cancer patients to patients with heart problems. I mean, she's seen and done it all. And then at the admin level, she knows how the hospital bureaucracy works. So I literally could not have asked for a better nurse at home. Another thing too is for you guys who either have COVID or you have loved ones who are getting it. One of the things that's really important is you have people who know you really well, and so you can use them as kind of a um, to compare whatever your physical or your psychological state is. You can use those people as they know what the baseline you is based on their perspective of you. So you can trust that if you think you might be off or whatever, ask them and say, hey, does this seem like before I get sick, was I doing this or whatever? And it's, as a patient, I can tell you it's really helpful in recovery, because some of that lingering, fogginess, let's say, from the oxygen deprivation, it's been really, really helpful having my wife there to kind of give me sanity checks periodically. So let me continue on, and we'll see if we can pick up some questions here. Robert Shepard, good to see you. Michael Bancroft, long time no see. It was about 30 minutes just before Mike's show. We had a nice chat. Okay, good. So Mike says images have been taking ages to load on Twitter. Guys, I promise when I get caught up, I'm going to start putting your comments up on the screen. But until we get to there, then I've got to just kind of go back and forth. Woodrow, buddy, it is good to see you. All I can say is when you want the deets, you just let me know. Let's see. Jeremy Burtz, I'm not sure if I already said to you. The weatherman himself, Eric Weathers, good to see you, man. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate you. Eric, I'm going to be doing over the next couple of weeks. I'm not sure exactly when. Things are really kind of erratic with my home schedule, because the kids being home from school, my wife taking care of the household stuff while I recover, and then having all of these unexpected visits from family and whatnot. Been kind of hard to ease back into a work schedule, but it's all good. Good visits and interruptions and springing this or that on me, and I didn't know it was coming, so I have to kind of rearrange plans for work. But it's all good. It's just gonna take time to kind of get back into a normal rhythm. What about Crazy Mad? Good to see you. Who else do we have? Okay, we got our Crack Pack boys. Love those Muppets. They're squirrely, but if there's anybody out there, I heard some rumblings that some people were thinking that the Crack Pack was like, I'm not sure exactly what it was. Like, I think people just didn't understand that they're goofing around, they're having a good time. But if you guys see them, like I don't know, you think they're mistreating each other or anything, trust me, they're all in on it. They're just having a goof. Aerith, hey Brian, good to see you, buddy. Thanks for joining us. Trying to go through Shadowhawk. Did I say hi to you? If not, then hello and welcome, and it's good to see you. Thanks for joining us here. Billy Basco. Yeah, you cray too, boo, but we love you. Right back at you, buddy. Thank you for joining. Appreciate it. You watching those stars, Billy? One of the things that Barnaby told me is that the constellations are shifting, and that there's a new constellation appearing in the sky. But I'm not sure if you can see it from where you're at. We get too much light pollution here in San Diego, but I didn't know if you being on the water, you'd be able to get a clearer sky of it than me. You're a little bit north. But yeah. And I don't want to, freak anybody out, but let's just say that if you see over the next couple of weeks, maybe, I don't know, a couple of days, we'll just see how it goes. But if an orangutan appears in the stars, well, you heard it here first. Excuse me, I'm going to mute, I'm going to glug, I'm going to cough, and I'll be right back with you. And then we'll try and get everybody synced up, and then we'll start putting comments up on the screen, and we'll answer some questions. Okay. Excuse me. All right, so let's now I'm going to cruise back up. I'm going to try and quickly pick out questions, and I'll try and just be as clear and concise as possible. And thank you, mods, for posting links to the mail list for Outliers, to Russ's channel. Really appreciate that. Let's see, questions. Mo. That's a good one. I always avow the pack. I cannot. I'm sorry, but I must not and cannot avow the crack. I mean, there are specific reasons for that, Mo. It's not a casual thing. I'm afraid there's history there. You know what? Since you brought it up, I didn't want to do this, but what can I say? Circumstances have changed. Let's see if we can get this over here. You guys may have seen a little something like this on Crack Mountain, maybe in the possession of D-Wag. Let's just say that I've never been to Crack Mountain, but in my travels through the cosmos, boys, Crack Pack, Crack Mountain's not the end-all be-all. Crack Mountain is basically, from what I understand, I haven't got the full story yet. I still need to do some investigation. Crack Mountain, think of it as a love note from Crack Planet. Told you guys I met Barnaby. Here's your proof. Now, let's just say that if I was to get a distress call from one of the Crack Pack, now you guys know. Quantum entanglement, my friends. My consciousness was expanded during my near-death experience. It's been flying through the cosmos. It's been juking and jiving through the quantum realm. I've been to Crack Planet. It's real. And maybe in the next few days, next few weeks, we'll be able to talk about that, boys. So, I know you lovable Muppets like to run around and act crazy, but just remember, crack does things to a man, to a woman, human mind cannot comprehend. So just take it easy, boys. We don't want to lose anybody out there. Let's see what else we got. Looking for questions. Yeah, you're right, LCH. The memory does get affected, but the good thing is everything I've been able to find. You said low oxygen levels really compromise the memory. You're incredibly lucky. What I've been able to find from all the medical workers is that it so far it seems to always come back. It's just a question of time, and it's true. Little things here and there each day just kind of pop into my mind, and um, then it just kind of fits into place, and you just move on. What else do we got here? Questions. We got the boys in. Bow. Um, Mo does not give up. I know of a substance that will energize your body and revitalize your lungs. It's not. Well, yeah. I mean, I'm sure it's great at the beginning, but when it fries your brain, that's the problem, Mo. It's the end product. The trip is fun, I'm sure, but the destination, that can be rough. Um, let's see. Okay, so here we got some questions. Rob the Replicator says, so do you have to get the vaccine now that you got it? Well, that is an interesting question. Medically, no. Medically speaking, I am 100% cured from COVID and I'm 100% immune from COVID. And my understanding is that because the version I have was so bad that my antibodies are kind of like super antibodies, if you want to put a scale to it. Um, I there honestly they just don't have a lot of information about it. So the what I got was anecdotal evidence from my medical team, and I talked to everybody. I was asking questions of everyone, and basically they were telling me that the worst severity, if you recover, the stronger the antibodies. Now I don't mean if that's well, take it back. What I believe that means, from what they told me, is that if you get COVID and you get over it, you have the antibodies. Period. Whether that's the asymptomatic version, that's the least severe, all the way down to what I had, which is like the black tar heroin version of COVID. I've been calling it supersized COVID because of how hard and fast it hits, and then how far you crash. But basically, from what I understand, it is the worse the severity. Like, let's say you get over it here, then the longer your antibodies last. And supposedly, and I'm not convinced of this yet personally, but supposedly one of the latest things that's coming out of the talking heads that make up the party line responses, is that they're saying COVID, regular COVID or asymptomatic or whatever they're calling it now, they're claiming that your antibodies don't last that long, maybe 3 months. So now they're talking about getting booster shots every 3 months. My experience, and this again, I'm only speaking for me, not a doctor, not giving medical advice, just telling you about my experience and trying to answer questions. My experience is that if you had it and the antibodies are in there, then you're basically, from what they told me, you're immune. Now, how long that lasts is what's up for debate. What they told me is that if you have it the worst, then basically you're invincible from it. You're immune from it. They kept telling me you're immune. You're COVID immune. You're COVID immune. So take that for what you will. If you can do some research and find more useful information, I hope that helps out. SDA says still have to get the second strain shot. I don't have to get anything. I don't have to get vaxxed. I don't have to get anything. My understanding is that I'm done. I went through about the worst, from what they tell me, about the worst you can go through. So now the irony to some of this is that in the beginning, when I was sick and I tried to get a doctor's visit, and they were saying that well, they kept wanting me to go get vaxxed, and I kept saying, look, I told the doctor what my symptoms are. Someone from the office called back and said I should get an appointment. So I'm going to get an appointment, and I'm not going to go get a vaccine, because if I have COVID, then the last thing I'm going to do is get shot up with more of it. And the vaccine is shot up. It's full of COVID along with some other goodies in there. So there's no way I'm getting it. I'm not going to take the chance. Not to mention the fact I was immunocompromised for decades prior to getting COVID, and I wasn't going to shoot my immunocompromised body up with, um, this vaccine, which was experimental. Did not go through the normal process. Did not go through the normal review protocols. It was a rush job. Now, if people want to take it, then I'm not going to try to dissuade them. I think everybody should act on their own accord and follow their own, you know, free will and do what they think is best. Um, and for me, that meant if I'm immunocompromised, and oh, by the way, when I used to get the flu shot, um, I would get the flu right after getting the shot, the vaccine. So it would give me the flu, and then I always have the flu at least one more time during the season, sometimes twice. And in 2015, I just completely changed my diet and um, a lot of other stuff to try and eliminate like toxins and chemicals and stuff from my environment and from my diet. And I went through this huge improvement in a lot of my medical problems. And I decided to not get the flu vaccine anymore because I wasn't getting sick anyway. My immune system had gotten turbocharged over like 6 months or so of just changing everything around. And sure enough, I never got the flu for the next 6 years. That brings us up to this year. And then I started getting sick, and at first I thought it was a cold. And then I thought maybe it was a flu, but it didn't fit all the flu symptoms. And so it turned out to be COVID. But they kept trying to get me to get the vax. And I was like, I'm just getting an appointment. I'm not going to go take the shot. So anyway, my point is, they kept pushing me to do it, even all the way up through the point where I was getting triaged into the hospital. Once I got there, then they stopped it. They stopped trying to push it on me, and it was really disturbing, quite frankly, in some of these instances, how hard they tried to push it. And I was already so far down the road, even after I got tested positive, and I was trying to talk to my doctor and get an appointment. And one of the admin people, after hearing I tested positive, tried to get me to go get the shot. And I was just like, forget it. There's no way. So anyway, my point is that whatever you guys or your loved ones think is the right thing to do, then I encourage you to do that. And if somebody tries to push you away from it, I would just say that I just fought for what I thought was right, and fought for what I thought was right for my family, and I just refused to be pushed around. And that's the bottom line. I think we have to be our own best advocate for our health, and we have to be our own best warrior when it comes to fighting the fight of bureaucracy and whatever else is going on with that. Okay, cool, Eric. Using the downtime to get more pages drawn. Right on. Yeah, so maybe in the next week, maybe two. I got somebody who offered to help me set up Discord or something similar so we can get all the team members synced up as to where we're going to be going with the schedule, because I had to postpone with COVID. I had to postpone our launch. So I'm happy to say that I was able to look into some stuff and get some things squared away while recovering. And we're looking at probably a March, April launch. And the upside to the delay is that we get to do some really cool stuff that I didn't think I'd get to do until book 2. But now, because we have the time, we'll be able to do it. And right now I'm not guaranteeing anything, but I want to tell the guys that are looking forward to the book, it looks like we got a good chance of having the main graphic novel, but then also a supplemental book, which everyone will get, what I hope will be free of charge. So we still have to work some things out. If it's not free, it'll be so low in cost. My hope is that it'll feel free. But the good news of that is if we can get it down that low, then I'm confident that if we have a good launch to the campaign, that can be one of the early stretch goals. And then I'd love to just give everybody a free book along with the main graphic novel, because if I can get that in place and we can get the cost right, then you guys will basically, especially you international backers who have kind of resigned yourselves to only backing digital, what I'm really trying to do is establish right up front that one of our fundamental founding principles is to give the customer so much value in whatever it is they buy that they feel like they're almost getting free stuff, even though they've technically paid for it. And so my goal is that in this campaign, whatever tier you back, we're trying to get it set up so that you feel like you're getting much, much more. And ideally, it sounds kind of funny or strange or whatever, but I almost want customers to feel like they're getting so much value, they're almost ripping me off. Because as a customer, I love it when people that are, excuse me, that are creators that just shove so much value into that tier. And I was like, man, how are these guys making any money? I hope they are. And I'm happy to say that we've got things set up that we're definitely going to be making what we need to make. So when we get the production team all synced up, then we're really going to be cooking with heat, and we can get some really cool updates for you guys. That some are the type of updates we're all used to, but then some will be in a format that we've never seen before in CG, and I'm very excited to be bringing that stuff to you. Yes, Mo, thank you for this comment. This is very important. Mo says, guys, I'm sending DWAG to Weebhab out of friendship. I'm not mad at him. Yes, that is an absolutely factually correct statement. The Crack Pack boys have been very, very good to me in helping me recover, keeping me in good spirits. All of CG, honestly. You guys, I'm going to be doing some stuff for CG that may sound kind of crazy, but honestly, it's not just a reflection of how much I care about you guys and have for the last 4 years, but um, it's also a token of appreciation for all the support that I've gotten, and quite frankly, just CG trucking along as usual. Because in my hospital bed, that's all I did was listen to videos, recorded videos, and I listened to live streams. And there were times, I kid you not, I was just rolling in my hospital bed from one side to the next, just rocking back and forth, laughing so hard. I mean, I was laughing so hard I was crying, and the nurses would come check on me periodically and like, "Are you okay?" "Oh yeah, I couldn't be better." Just hanging with the boys, hanging with the sisters. Oh, so good. John Malin, when he was talking about his time in the hospital and how he got past the time, um, yeah, it's 100% can testify that yeah, with John you got a witness. He gave it to you straight up. So thank you everyone for helping me. Everybody who was chatting with me, the DM threads, for the ones who got my crazy like quantum mechanics lectures. I'm sorry. At the time, honestly, when I was oxygen deprived, I thought I was saying things like, "Hey, Mike, I'm alive and I'm feeling great. I'll be coming home soon." And what came out was an introductory lecture to quantum mechanics and some other related subjects. And poor Mike just sat there and took it like a champ. So I thank you guys who helped me get through that, because honestly, having those conversations helped me figure out how to get past this like scrambled egg syndrome, so that what I thought I was saying, which sounded perfectly lucid in my mind, actually came out the way that I thought it was supposed to. Um, excuse me. Oh, looks like StreamYard got a little bit of an upgrade. You don't have to scroll all the way through 1,000 messages to take down the comment that you found. Okay, more questions. Let me see. Lots of Russ. Come on, Charlie. Let's go to Candy Crack Mountain. There was another. Rob, that is a very, very astute observation. Crack Meteor? There are secrets to Crack Mountain that I'm not able to reveal, but I'm happy to say there are secrets I will reveal. So stay tuned for that. Eddie Winkler, Good to see you, buddy. Thank you for joining us. Um, well, Mo, I'm not going to say that I was here to. He says, "Hail, crack planet, we must build a spaceship." I'm going to say that if you build it, um, oh, I can't give away too much information. If you build it, hmm, I'll put it this way: Crack Planet is real, and it's spectacular. Do with that what you will. Billy Basco, the fog comes in so much this tiny bay, Joe, but my eyes are towards the sky and stars are in my eyes. That's what I like to hear. Keep your eyes on those stars, Billy. Um, if I can't point a telescope with a video camera on it and get footage myself, I'll tell you this: I will get, at the very least, I will get still images. I'm gonna try for video, but if still images are all I've got, then that's what we'll roll with. But trust me, keep your eye in the sky. The stars are on the move. Let's roll through here. Rob, I hope you didn't forget the time you said Rob was better than Michael. Wasn't that Rob Teenth? I thought so. Yes, Melanie B. I have seen things. I'll be happy to answer questions about those. Um, Shadowhawk, Barnaby is crack pack is the question. I can't speak on behalf of Barnaby. If you meet Barnaby, then I'm sure that you'll be able to ask that question and get it answered. Good Stuff Comics Gator says Crack Pack has your back. Albino Thunderbuns, I know good stuff. You guys help keep me going. In my darkest days, I'll never forget it. Steve Worcester says, Joe Albino, did you meet Viper the Prophet? I wouldn't say meet is the word for it. I'll say that my consciousness was in the neighborhood, and I thought maybe we could have a one-on-one, let's say. But, he was sucking the pipe, and there was just no getting through to him, so I just moved on. I looked like he was, fairly in fairly good shape as far as Viper's concerned. I mean, you guys kind of have a different opinion of him than I do, and I don't want to step on your opinion. I think everybody should be free to, express their own views and ideas. And so while I may not be that thrilled with what I saw, I think you guys probably would have a different opinion. I'll just leave it at that. Let's move on. Borrow ideas. when Rob was asking if I remember saying that that Rob was better than Bancroft, I borrow ideas says Joe was laid out, not brain damage. Rob. Mo Big says, I haven't had my mind blown like this since the first time I heard the words of Viper. Tell you what, Mo, my consciousness was expanded. It would be like the Jefferson airplane becoming the Jefferson Starship. And it's been a wild ride ever since. Oliver from 656, Senor Albino, good to have you back. It is good to be back, muchacho. What did you guys... Excuse me. Let me mute for a second, guys. I'll be right back. I need to glug. Pardon me. Thank you. So the 656 boys got a little gift from their old pal Joe in San Diego, because San Diego is a border town. And so part of San Diego County, it runs up along the border with Tijuana. And so I heard that the 656 boys could use a little pick me up. So I rolled out one of my secret projects that I've been working on all these years. And I never told them I had it. I wanted it to be a surprise. So I contacted Oli from the hospital and I basically said, look up, incoming. So I rolled out a trebuchet, custom built, inspired by trebuchet Guevara that EVS had commissioned. He had a scale model of it built. And now I don't know if he ever built the production model, but Zaid Comics, Phil, my bro, good to see you, man. Thanks for joining. It's good to be back among the land of the living. I was just telling the folks in the chat that so I heard the 656 boys were having a rough time, and so I sent a message to Oli and I said, look up, incoming. And I rolled out my trebuchet, which was inspired by Ethan's trebuchet Guevara, but I made some custom modifications. I use his scale model as kind of a base, and then I built up from that. And so I I put a love bomb in there, and I launched it. And this was the like the beta test for the trebuchet. And so the 656 guys gave me a nickname way back when they were on Bancroft's show, and I let out a little mariachi. I don't know what you'd call it, a battle cry maybe, because we have Mexican restaurants all over the place here. I love Mexican food, and we got some authentic joints, and a couple of them will have authentic mariachi players come in, and so I let one of those rip, and the 656 guys loved it, and so one of them, Ray, aka Happy Harry Hard On, he started calling me Thunder Lips. So if I ever get to show you guys my trebuchet that's got the special features and upgrades based off of the template that Ethan set up with trebuchet Guevara, if you ever see it in big, bold, gold letters, it says trebuchet Thunder Lips. So 656 boys, that love bomb hit Oli right in the chest. Perfectly tuned. Couldn't have asked for a better beta test. I heard you guys got it, the collateral love out of that love bomb, and I'm hoping you guys all turned right around and just chucked it right out the window at down there in Juarez, because I know you guys could certainly use it. So hope you guys are doing well. Can't wait to see you guys again. What else do we have here? Questions from the chat. Coming on down. Robert Shepard says, Joe, the Moses of Crack Pack, let my people go. I will say, D-Wag, I know you're in the chat. I don't know how much you want revealed, and I respect everybody's privacy equally. So as far as, the little dust up that happened with you and the Popo, you let me know if you want to talk about that. It's 10:45 my time. I got probably 15 minutes, so maybe it's better if we talk about it another time, because you've been on quite an adventure, D-Wag. I don't know how much of that you're ready to talk about. Maybe you could inspire the pack with some words of wisdom as you've been on this adventure. But I'm afraid, as I'm looking at the clock, I probably need to get about 15 more minutes in, and then I need to shut it down. My lungs and my vocal cords are good, but we all have limits. So this has been so much good fun tonight, just hanging with you guys, letting you know I'm back. I'm doing really, really well. The recovery has just been phenomenal. It's defied all medical explanations. So really wanted to hang out with you guys and let you see how well I'm doing, because it was pretty grim there for a while. Let's scroll through the chat. Get some more questions. Aerith asked, "Did you see all the clockwork while traveling?" That's a great question. I'll put it this way: I did not see the clockwork elves, if that's what you're referring to. The psychedelic experience that people have described. Um, it's kind of similar to that from what I've listened to. I mean, I've listened to a lot of Joe Rogan. I've listened to, based off of that, I've listened to some other guys like Terrence McKenna. What I saw was not that, not anywhere close. But there is definitely a precision and an order, I'll say, and almost like a clockwork way that the things work. I'll put it that way. What I've been thinking about and whatnot. Basically, what it boils down to is that what I thought before, as far as like quantum mechanics and all that stuff, because I'm really into all that, have been for a long time. It basically, I just think that it's confirmed stuff that I already thought or believed, and it opened up my eyes to some other things. But really, it comes down to this: one of my big, quote unquote revelations or inspirations. I think Rob was calling it an ascension, which was cracking me up. I was telling him, yeah, I've ascended this mortal plane, and my consciousness is cruising through the cosmos, and that's where I'm at Barnaby. You can ask Barnaby if it's true. I mean, he'll tell you. Uh, but to answer your question, Brian, kind of an insight that I got, and this directly relates to CG, is that if you look into what theoretical physicists talk about, especially with the relation to quantum mechanics, basically what they say is that all of the universe, no matter where you go, what part of it, the little parts, the big parts, basically they say everything is made of these fundamental particles, right? So if you think about it, whether that's a pencil made up of all these different bits and pieces, or it's the ocean made up of different pieces, one of the things that they say is that there's certain forces like gravity and electromagnetism and the strong force and the weak force. It kind of binds everything together. So what they say is that whether you're working with just a small amount of data you're trying to look at, or whether you're trying to look at the entire universe, basically what they say is that stuff works the same way. It just scales up or scales down. So I kind of started thinking about it. Well, what if everything could be represented as little bits of information? It's almost like the Matrix, where, Neo, he's in it and he sees stuff around him like the dojo, or he sees cars driving down the highway or whatever. And basically, once he's able to see the Matrix, then he sees all the code. He sees all the bits and bytes and how they interact, and well, blah, 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 blah. SDA is saying the force. Yeah, I mean, like, imagine if you could see all the atoms in all of the matter in the Star Wars universe, but then you could also see the force. And you could also see the different, like energy and whatever. And so it's kind of like I got this insight where I was thinking about CG, and I was thinking about how things work in it and then outside of it. The former comic book industry, the dinosaur that fell over and its bloated stomach exploded and all its soupy, manky guts just kind of dribbled out. That former comic book industry. I was thinking about that a lot. Thinking about how Phil and Brandon Diaz are kings compared to Jim Lee and Joe Quesada, who are posers that blow chunks, stuff like that. And it just kind of dawned on me that CG is just a microcosm of humanity at large. And that whether you scale down to CG or you scale up to all of the human population, people are people. And so in CG, we just see things happen, and there's patterns and whatnot of behaviors, of inputs, of results, all that. It's really just a reflection of who we are as humans. And so I was thinking about how we can make things better in CG, or they can get worse because that's kind of stuff happens at larger scales. And so I started thinking about, because I've studied history for a very long time, and I was just thinking about different cycles that I've seen in history, civilizations, stuff like that. What's worked, what hasn't worked? How do you build up a healthy, strong foundation upon which a healthy, strong civilization grows. And I was thinking about that with CG. So, anyway, as time goes on, I've got some ideas and some insights, and I'm going to be asking for feedback because I think, honestly, guys, real talk here, I think that CG went through a period of incredible growth from 2018. If we mark that as the start of current year CG, when it went from being um, nerds arguing about just how bad the mainstream industry had gotten, um, to where it could be, where it should be, where it used to be, all of that stuff. It really comes down, in my opinion, to, because it's a microcosm of humanity, it'll always have the same problems that a single human has and a whole civilization has and a whole population does. And so I started thinking about it in that way. Well, what if we could take like human virtues and use those almost like in the way that doctors use medicine against a virus? And if let's call it light and dark, since we're using the Star Wars metaphor earlier. So if we can pump up the stuff that the light side of the force, influences, the good vibes, so to speak, what if everybody were to agree to just try and do one nice thing for one person for one day? And if we all did it, the compounding effect from the positivity, or the spread of human virtue, or the good vibes, as I like to call it, would just be enormous. And so one of the things I was doing for my hospital bed was just little experiments of just doing nice things for people, paying compliments and that sort of thing, and what kind of follow-on effect or cascade effect could happen if other people saw that. And this is kind of where it went back to quantum mechanics and what Brian was asking for earlier in like the clockwork stuff. What I noticed was that there's human interactions produce energy, similar to when fundamental particles interact and produce energy. So what I was thinking is, well, what if we thought of CG just as a single body, like similar to a human body? And what if we just thought about the stuff that happens that we don't like, that drags people down, drags down morale? What if we thought of that as a virus? And then what if we thought of the good stuff, human virtues and good vibes, let's say, doing nice things for people without expecting recognition or reward? What if that's the medicine? What if that's the vaccine, in other words? So I was talking about stuff over the last few weeks and using a lot of mixes of metaphorical and literal language. And I was doing that on purpose, even though I knew that some people would be confused, some people would dig it, some people would think I was just, in a padded room somewhere gibbering like a baboon and, just pouring drool into a styrofoam cup. And all that's totally fine. I'm content with what anybody thinks about it, or when they read it, whatever. That's totally cool. It doesn't bother me a bit. But what I was thinking is, what if we could just put out good vibes because we want to, and then we could compound the effect if we have enough people doing it. So when I was in the hospital, or I might have been home, I'm not sure exactly, but I started this thing about talking about, like watch the heart, CG. There's hearts coming in, there's love coming in. And I can't remember exactly how I phrased it, but basically I was going around from my hospital bed and just paying compliments to people, people who needed help. I would come in and help them, whether it was like they needed consultations for writing or editing or whatever, and I knew I could help. So I would just kind of zip in there and say, hey, I noticed you da-da-da-da-da. Here's something that helped me. It might help you. If it does, great. If it doesn't, let me know and I can try something else. And so just basically running around doing good deeds, and then just tracking what kind of effect does it have, if any. And I'm happy to say that it really does move and flow like energy. And CG, it really is. Everybody's connected tightly enough. We're all independent individuals. So in that sense, we're like free flowing individual bits of information, but we're all bound by common bonds, whether that's friendship or brotherhood or not liking what went on in the old mainstream or whatever it was. Those bonds are strong enough that the human interactions where good vibes are flowing, that energy is noticed by other people and they tend to get in on it and contribute to it. So what I've been doing is just kind of excuse me, running around. You're absolutely 100% right, Ryan. Laughter is what helped with the healing. To me, laughter is medicine to my soul, and that's just any given day. But this COVID thing, being able to laugh so much, absolutely turbocharged my healing. So, thank you very much for that. Rob said, "Who had the worst dream while you were in hospital?" I don't know, Rob. To me, they were all good, honestly, because they were helping me pass the time. A lot of it was they were just helping me feel good, just have feel good vibes, and that was huge for me because physically, there was very little for a while. There was very little to celebrate. It was just all downhill. But yeah, then I hit a point where everything changed, and then from that point on, everything was great, and there was all kinds of stuff to celebrate. Um, where's another question here? Frog G says, "Spread the good, spread the love, spread the hope of joy of great comics." Yeah, I can get behind that. That's what I was thinking, Frog G. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized that it's not only doable, but in a way, I think it must be done because I think that CG grew really quickly, and there were times where that growth was just astronomical. But then there would be some bad stuff happening that would just perpetuate, and I think it would just kind of halt that growth, and then it would take off again. But I think that we got to a point where it was big enough that we kind of started stagnating because I think that the size the energy needed to maintain that size was all going into maintaining it. And then I think we just kind of hit a point where we weren't really accelerating or restarting our growth or whatever. And this is just my opinion. Obviously you guys will do whatever you want with it. But I just decided to kind of run through these experiments and say, well, what if we just pump some good vibes through CG? What happens? Where does it go? What do the interactions of people every day? Where do they send that? So I just decided to do a little marketing, and I started saying stuff on Twitter that was a mix of metaphorical and literal language because with storytelling, I'm into my fourth year as a comic pro, but I've got 36 years of storytelling behind that, which fuels a lot of what I do with comics, whether I'm writing or I'm editing or now publishing as of this year. And I'm happy to say that all the publishing stuff is going really well. We've hit some really big snags. I mean, InkSpot's had some real serious health stuff going on, but he was able to get through that. Russ has been a trooper, super flexible. Eric Weathers, I would periodically kind of update him with project milestones, so he just kind of knows where he's going to be in the future, kind of slotted in, because he's always got so many projects, and that guy is unflappable. He's just like, wherever it comes in is great, no problem. Just started working together more or less on Arc Athena with Eric, and so it's really cool, man. Eric is a good dude. Couldn't have had a more fond memory of our work on Flying Fortress Remastered, and really looking forward to wrapping up book one of Arc Athena pretty soon. We'll get that off to print. We're looking at Eric Weathers. Correct me if I'm wrong, but last I checked, we were looking at a September 15th targeted date for launching that rocket known as Arc Athena. If you're still there, if you could check me on that, I'd appreciate it. Sometimes I'm still a little fuzzy with my memory coming back. I'm a little fuzzy on dates, but I think it's September 15th. D Geek, Elizabeth Doherty, everybody. The Outlier Comics graphic designer. I've got some stories for you, sister. Yeah, I've seen, like I've been saying earlier, I saw the light, and then I met Barnaby. Simon on seven, mi amigo. Thank you for joining us. I'm gonna have to close the show down because I'm kind of at that point where I'm reaching that threshold where I've got a good workout for my lungs, good workout for the vocal cords. I just have to be really careful that I moderate um, my increases in activity each day because as long as I do that, it feels like I'm just going to keep making progress by leaps and bounds. Um, so it's good to see you. Really, thank you so much for joining. Um, and so you guys know, on Monday, if as long as things go well during the weekend, I'm kind of doing one last experiment. Tomorrow, Saturday here in the States, I'm going to be trying to kind of ease back into the at home dad work. My wife and I are going to kind of together handle some housework, and we'll see how my physical capacity can deal with that. The physical therapy, my workouts have been going great, great results. My kids like going walking with me. They like seeing me doing my exercises. The very first night when I got home, I did everything I had to do to get ready to just, basically fall into bed. And then I decided that the last thing I do before I go to bed is exercise, because I was saying before that this COVID just destroys your body and basically turned my muscle tone to jello. And I was only in the hospital for a week, but I decided, I'm just gonna, since I already grabbed the Reaper by the neck bones and threw him out of my room while I was laughing. And I'll tell you guys a story later. I literally was laughing so loud that my quarantined room, where my door was shut and sealed, there was a nurse that was down the hall by the unit desk, and she heard me laughing so loud. And this was the kind of the out of body experience where I felt my consciousness slam back into my chest. And I looked down at my bed. I'm like, oh, I didn't actually, my body didn't go anywhere. I'm just in the same position I was a couple moments ago. But I was laughing so hard at what had just happened to me because it seemed incredible, but also kind of absurd. And I was like, oh, there really is a light. And then I met Barnaby. So I was laughing so hard that this nurse is down the hall and she hears me. I don't know if she heard me through the wall or she heard me through the door, but she comes running in, and she's like, she's gowning up and she's getting her mask on and she's getting her gloves on and everything because she can't break that seal until she's all, you know, uh, double covered, I guess you could say, doubled up. So she comes in, she's like, "Are you okay, sir?" And I just said, "This is the greatest day of my life. I'm great. How are you?" "Oh, well, glad to hear it. I'm doing well." She said, "We heard some laughing." And I said, "Yeah, I'm just full of joy." And she's like, "Okay, you're okay?" "I'm great. I've never been better." So that laugh, I found out later, echoed through when she opened the door and I was laughing. It echoed into the whole unit floor. And what I was saying earlier in the show is that I was on this floor where it's like there's you could go into heart failure at any moment. That's what that's where I was at. That's where all the patients were at. And then below that is like you got a tube down your throat and you could not make it any moment. So this, it turns out later I found out that they hadn't heard a laugh on that floor since before they turned it into a COVID ward, basically. And just the stuff I heard just from people hearing a patient laugh and be happy, oh man, life changing. So I can't wait to tell you guys that later. So my time, it's about 11:05. So I'm just gonna run through some of these comments and then we're gonna close it down for the night. I'm really happy that you guys were all able to join me. This was a great kind of beta test for me to get back into the swing of things. And tomorrow I can kind of judge how it went. Jason Black, it is so good to see you, man. I hadn't seen you in a long time. We talked a bit. I hope you're doing well. If you ever want to chat about anything, please reach out. I've got a lot of experience with some of the things you were going through. And one of the things that I found out during this whole ordeal with COVID was that there's a lot of people who can help each other if they're willing to reach out. So I hope you're doing well, man. Wish nothing but the best for you. And anytime you want to chat, I'm at your service. Just reach out. um, Crackhead, I'm doing great. So good to see you here. Finatra, same you. Mo, SDA. I love you guys. And yeah, she was, Simonon. She was happy to see my Thunderbuns. Oh, good, Jason. I'm so happy to hear that. I know that was a long road. Um, so happy. All right, guys. I think that's a perfect note to end the show. Thank you so much for joining me. This uh, prototype here, I'm going to be working on this baby, and when I've got it tuned up, I'm going to tell you exactly what this is all about. If you happen to look online at a COVID viral cell, and you look at the payload that it delivers, you might notice some similarities with the red, white, and blue, and the kind of the spherical nature of this. This has a purpose, my friends. And as we fine tune the design, the Lady Fulton and I, we're going to be upgrading it. But for today's show, beta test, it worked out perfectly. So I'm going to get going. Thank you guys again. Have a wonderful evening. Have a wonderful weekend. And on Monday, we're going to get a little crazy. It's just a little crazy because, I'm on the mend, but we're going to do a little preview of what the Monday Fun Day show is going to be like from here on out. So we may have some guests. We may have a co-host. I got some irons in the fire, but I want you guys to know that the Monday Fun Day show was always intended, once Mike had to vacate that slot, it was always intended to just be a place, how we do the Bogan Variety Hour, and it's the Cheers show. Everybody knows it as it's the Cheers show, where everybody knows your name. And so what I want to do for the Monday Fun Day show is just keep that same vibe, but just amp up the party atmosphere just a little bit. Because what I'm hoping to do is, if we can keep the vibe going from the Bogan show on Bancroft's channel, but we can add a little, as Cecil likes to say, we can zhuzh it up a little bit. What I'm hoping is that when people have to go back to work Monday morning and they don't want to go because they're doing something that they don't enjoy, I'm hoping that they can end their weekend, their Sunday night. And if the idea of going back to work is kind of a bummer, I hope that the thought of the Monday Fun Day show at some point will be around long enough, and we'll do a good enough job. We'll fine tune it. I hope that that's something they'll look forward to. So almost like having a 3-day weekend. And even if we're going back to work Monday and we don't really enjoy it, then at least we'll have something to look forward to Monday night. So that's where I'm going to end it. Thank you guys so much. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you Monday. Bye.